Alright, so here we start our journey. You can see behind me my bike. I'm all ready to go. Got my GoPro all mounted up. That was a long road, by the way, for those of you. But without further introduction, I'm going to get started on my journey. We'll see how this goes. Let's go on to Snake Indian Falls. Alright, so welcome to the adventure. I should say going into this that this is a 29-kilometer hike right straight from where I left you guys right there at the parking lot. The road itself is quite a long and windy one, like I was alluding to earlier, but this path is just a gradual incline pretty much the entire way. What I'm doing right now ends up going downhill into the brook where the river goes run through, but after that it's pretty much right uphill, and that doesn't stop pretty much the entire way. So here I go. I'm going to be coming up to that bridge here shortly. I didn't manage to get the entire track covered on my GoPro because I only have so much battery, so there's going to be some cut scenes here and there and some pieces that are left out, but ultimately you're here for a good long journey. Let's see how this goes. Alright, so that cutscene that you just saw there, it required me to get off and on my bike every once in a while, setting up angles like that. That also tasks you on this journey. It does drain a person, and from watching Les Stroud do it, thinking that it's a lot easier, and he's just, I don't know. Now, looking back at this, I feel like this guy is Superman, being able to do this, carrying with him more camera equipment than what I had, probably better equipment, which means it's usually heavier. So when I was doing this all by myself, it really does take a lot out of a person. Going up hills like this one, you can see here, this is an intense hill, and it doesn't end the entire way. And doing it with all that camera equipment and everything else on your back does make a person sweat pretty bad. And I have to say, for a good portion of this hill is being walked upon. It's not being biked up, because at points I had to stop and get off the bike, just walk it up, because this was way too steep, a lot of rocks, so it is kind of hard. Alright, that measly little thing down there, which you can hardly see because I don't have my zoom on. That's as best as I can zoom, actually. That is the bridge that I came in on. Okay, found some really nice looking mountain clearings. Beautiful sky. Snow-capped ones in the distance, if you can see that. But as you can tell, I'm out of breath because that is what I was up against just now. Mostly walking, not going to be a hero here. I was mostly walking that, and seems like a very small amount, but you're zoomed in, and well, it's not. That's a big hill. Alright, yeah, that was a pretty big hill, and as you can tell, it's a little different looking now because I took a break there, grabbed something small to eat, got some water in me, and turned on the camera a little bit later on down on my journey. But you can still tell there's a huge hill here, and that's pretty much relentless and not stopping. What I do say in letting people know in advance, though, there's not a lot to worry about when it comes to wildlife in this area, from what I've saw anyway in this one journey that I've taken in this trek. I haven't come across anything aside from herbivores, basic. You get deer. I had some caribou, but mostly throughout this journey was a pretty good encounter. No bears, nothing. I think it's about time to take that sweater off. Alright, so now that you see how I refuel, using basically snap peas, carrots, I got some other things in my bag of tricks that I was eating now. But basically, as you could tell in that one footage, how bad the bugs might have been. That was actually a pretty tame spot too, and that's why I stopped there and had something to eat, because the bugs were off me a little bit. Though as you can tell, I just went over that was some caribou scat there, so they were in the area. But like I said, I didn't get any of them on film or on picture because, well, they were too shy to show themselves. But as you can see in most of my films from here on out, the bugs are pretty thick, and that's a main contributor to me not being able to get like a wind basically. Throughout this entire time, I'm just huffing and puffing. It's a really hard trek, but the bugs kept me going, and they made it so I could not stop. So if I could warn anybody anything about this entire trip is to prepare yourself really well for the bugs. This year has been exceptionally bad, so maybe down the road, future years, it won't be as bad for me to complete this trek. But this time was an exception to the rule, and they were terrible, and they managed to make stopping an entirely new experience for me. Okay, so I have to apologize right now for my GoPro. Well, my inability to bike apparently. It tends to move back and forth. Even the slightest wobble of what seems to be me moving the bar handles really affects the camera. So it's kind of like you're nodding back and forth, or shaking your head rather. But I apologize for that. But I guess a lesson learned. I'll know that going down the road for future hikes, I guess. In this section, I think further up ahead, there's some down logs, like I alluded to earlier. There's some parts of the trek where there's logs in the way, so you have to actually move your bike. I kind of wish I would have caught that on camera so I can document that for you guys as well, but you just have to take my word for it, I guess. And it also made it very difficult to complete some of this because lifting, well, a really heavy bike. I wish I had a lighter one, but I don't. Um, a good walk to remember. Me, the bike, pretty much says it all. And here's where the sun started to come in for me for my journey, and that's when I got kind of excited because when the sun's in some of these spots, when it's really heavy in some areas, I would take that time, stop, have something to eat maybe, and grab some water, and just take a quick break from my bike because this is a long journey. I set off at 7 in the morning, so or thereabouts. So that was probably a bad idea to start off with, as the sun wasn't completely up there, so it doesn't give me those breaks from the bugs. But I didn't think of that going through, and I definitely will now going forward. Areas like this where I might be able to stop a little bit, grab some water, grab something to eat. But there's some better ones that come up later on that were little clearings. They were short, few, and far between, but they were definitely bonuses once I found them. Alright, well, I know I'm not looking too pretty right now, but there's a lot of bugs. I may be blurry. I don't know, I'm sorry. It's getting hard to start narrating some of this journey, but I still got a long ways to go. I'm going to check and see how long that really is. Right now, while I have some food and re-energize for the next leg of my journey. Alright, so that was basically about 8 to 9 kilometers. A lot of that was uphill. Here's where the gradual part of the hill actually starts. So as you can see, I was pretty out of breath. I have yet to come across Celestine Lake. It's a campground that I'll talk about a little bit later. That's about the 10-kilometer marker, I believe. I don't know if I'm correct in assessment on that one, but basically that's where a lot of people go to camp and spend the night there, and then they'll actually set forth and continue the rest of their journey to Snake Indian Falls. But my attempt here was to complete the entire thing. So here you have it. This is where the turnoff starts for the Celestine Lake campground. My mic wasn't very loud for catching what I'm trying to say here, but what I'm pointing at to the right is the lake. Straight up is where we'll be going to Snake Indian Falls. So instead of turning off to go to your campground, you'll want to continue straight through and go to Snake Indian Falls. As I did right here. In hindsight, I probably should have spent the night at the lake to complete the journey. Would have saved me a lot of energy. So for those of you doing this, that may be a good idea going forward, but especially if you're by yourself like I was here. Alright, so here's where the part of the journey that started to get really thick. The sun's out there, as you can see, looking back and forth, and the start of the trail starts to get pretty hard to bike through at times. This is where you want to take your time and caution yourself when you're going through here, because you never know when something might jump out. Even if it's a deer, you still don't want to run into it at any time of the year, for that matter. So here's where my journey started to take a bit of a difficult climb, though it seems really relaxed. Alright, this is actually my second attempt doing this because I was an idiot, didn't turn the thing on in the first place. So I was talking to an off camera, but you know, whatever. Fact of the matter is, if you can tell by the shaky camera right now, this isn't Blair Witch. This is just me being extremely hungry. Apparently, I grossly underestimated this journey. I planned this out in advance, and I was prepared for everything, and I had lots of food. It's just I did not anticipate having food, but not being able to eat it because just not having the energy to do it. The truth is, I could sit here, perhaps wait out an hour, as the sun could stay, and from half an hour, sun will stay in my spot, keep the bugs off of me, and I could gather myself some energy and do the rest. But I'm sitting at 13 kilometers right now left, and I've done probably 16 to 17 now, uphill, and this pretty much still stays uphill the entire way. So point to the matter, I can't even say words right now, I'm just so hungry. I plan on doing this again, hopefully bringing somebody with me, and then I can actually pass the buck, so to speak, split up the supplies, because carrying this camera tripod on my back along with survival supplies, you know, just in case, and food, 2-liter water, which might I add, is definitely not enough. I'm at the point right now where I'm hitting a peak in my supplies. I have lots of food left. Like I said, I haven't ate much because I just don't have the energy. The water, though, is depleting pretty fast, so I don't want to go any further without any water to return with. So that's my main reason. That, and if you can see all the bugs around me, this is a clear sunny opening right now in comparison to what I've been getting. These are when I stop, but the bugs are just insane when you get into the bush. When you get in the shade, it's incredibly overwhelming. So my third attempt, Snake Indian Falls. Sad to say, it's another failure. I will be back. Let's hope for next year, and we can complete this journey. I may contemplate getting a horse for this. Alright, so as you now know, this one was a failure. On my way back at this point, but this is where the journey became really exciting for me. The way back is mostly downhill, like as I was saying before, is gradual uphill climb or a large steep hill. So this has been part of the journey where I can actually sit back and enjoy, just kind of relax as I go down the hill, caution myself every once in a while in case someone's coming around a corner, but basically this is the easy part of the journey. So truth be told, I did manage to push on a little bit further from that point where I narrated. Ended up doing a total of 19 of or thereabouts of 18, 19 of the total 29 kilometers. So got pretty close, but I still didn't manage to go the whole way. I did not want to push myself any further. I gathered a lot of energy after that narration. Managed to sit back, relax, because the sun stayed with me for a while. And then I managed to actually push on a little bit. Had some food in me, had some energy, but ultimately the journey stayed the same. It kept going, gradual uphill climb. I kept drinking lots of water to keep myself going, but that's what made me turn around at that point. So here I'm turned around going back down my hill, and this is where it started to get, like I said, more interesting for me because I can actually relax. I don't have to worry about pushing myself to keep going. This is where I actually bonded a little bit and enjoyed the journey. So hopefully I'll get this, like I said, done maybe next year. I don't know if I'll be able to get it in this year. I have a few other plans and a few other hikes going, coming up down the road, but we don't know at this point what's in store. So we'll see what I get in, what I don't. This might be something, like I said, for next year that I can actually complete. Hopefully the bugs will die off a little bit for me next year. Though at this point, hopefully you enjoyed the journey and my first attempt at narrating something. Ultimately, I'm hoping to get a completed waterfall journey in here, whether it be hike or bike or however I get there. So let's look forward to that down the road. But for now, I'm signing off, Snake Indian Falls, and hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Gotta come back for the camera.